Please.
This meeting is being held in conformity to the Open Publics Meeting Act. Proper public notice of this meeting was published in the local newspapers on April 5, 2014 and April 6, 2014. If any board member or member of the public in attendance believes that this meeting is in violation of the Open Publics Meeting Act, the Hoboken Board of Education requests that they make a statement at this time. The board wishes to make those in attendance aware that this meeting is being recorded on video and will be broadcast by the board at a later date on cable TV channel 77 and FiOS channel 46. The Hoboken Board of Education is committed to preserving the decorum of the public process and is mindful that we live in the electronic age of computers, cell phones, and other electronic communication devices. Nevertheless, we respectfully request that all meeting participants kindly silence their electronic devices during the course of the meeting, and if use of that device is necessary, we ask that you please leave the meeting room if you need to conduct personal business. Thank you. If you could please rise for the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Biancamano.
Present.
Ms. Evans.
Here.
Mr. Cluffel.
Here.
Ms. McAllister.
Here.
Ms. Mitchell.
Here.
Ms. Rhodes Kearns could not make it tonight. She has a prior commitment, and she's attending the Hudson County School Board's meeting. Ms. Sobola?
Here.
Ms. Stromwell?
Here.
And Dr. Gold.
Here. Dr. Hernandez?
Good evening, Mr. President and fellow board members. I'm here to recognize the students of the month. We're going to start with the Calabro student of the month, and that student is Jason Lombardo. Jason is a fourth grader at Calabro School. He is a student who deserves this award for his outstanding efforts at Calabro School. He puts full effort in whatever task is presented to him and never gives up and always wants to improve. Jason is a very polite, kind, and thoughtful, and a great role model among his peers. He is a creative student with a strong artistic ability. Jason's artwork was recently chosen from the county to be part of the youth art exhibit that was held at the State House in Trenton, also at the Liberty Science Center. Jason is a friendly and respectful towards his teachers and classmates. He is an excellent listener and always follows directions. Overall, Jason's dedication to his school and to his work are the reasons he has been chosen to Calabro School Student of the Month. Please join me in congratulating Jason. Our next student is from the Connors Elementary School, another fourth grader, James Allegro. James has demonstrated a commitment to learning in the fourth grade this year. He consistently shows great effort in class, even striving for perfection. His increased effort has not gone unnoticed. His teachers are proud of his work. He has become a leader in his reading group and has really gone the extra mile in trying to help others with their reading as well. James is enthusiastic and will give his all, even when the task is challenging. He has even begun to take extra books home to read to his younger siblings. Please join me in congratulating James. Our next student is a first grader from Wallace, Austin Liss. How you doing, Austin? In language arts, Austin is a strong reader who listens well and is focused. He has outstanding comprehension and vocabulary skills. He is constantly going above and beyond in writing. In math, he shows excellence in basic facts and has outstanding higher-level thinking skills. Austin also enjoys extracurricular activities. He plays soccer and tennis. He likes to read books about and play Minecraft. I don't know what that is. Austin also likes to build things with Legos with his mom and dad. Please join me in congratulating Austin. Our next student is from the Hoboken Junior High School, 8th grader, Jarrett Rosso. Jarrett is a polite, funny, articulate young man. He is a student athlete. Not only does he participate in class, oftentimes he leads the discussion. He's always respectful and in uniform. He is a model representative for the Hoboken Junior Senior High School student body. Please join me in congratulating Jared. And last but not least, our Hoboken Senior High School student of the month. She is a senior, Jasmine Vergara. Okay, let me read this. Okay. Whether it is one-on-one or in front of hundreds of people, you know it is instant. Jazz Vergara is an exceptional individual. Her charm, charisma, and genuine good nature make Jazz an asset to any endeavor. She excels in her schoolwork. She is quick to make the best of a difficult situation and is equally ready to encourage a fellow student who is having difficulties. She is a member of the Harvard Model Congress and the Class of 2014 Senior Council. Jasmine is also the president of the African American Culture Club and a member of the Student Council. She can sing, she can dance. She is a scholar, and she makes others feel good just to know her. Please join me in congratulating Jasmine. This evening, Jasmine would like to say a few words.
So I understand not many students give an acceptance speech, but I look at this as a great award. And I would like to quickly say a quick note to every one of you. Thank you so much. This is kind of just a thank you. To Ms. Greigel, Ms. Triana Lisa, Ms. Pepe, Ms. Stevens, all of those who supported me to Princeton this past summer and keep doing so. Mr. Barfield, Mr. Huggins, all of my friends, Daniele Colon, Mr. Munoz, Nicolas Cage, Ellen DeGeneres, Presidents Rutherford B. Hayes, James Garfield, Grover Cleveland, William Taft, Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, Sacagawea, corruption in history, the quadratic formula. Again, this is something I have been vying for 4 years now, so a lot of influence are included in my success, as well as Google, Wikipedia, my father, my aunt, my mom, and especially Hoboken High School, so thank you.
This evening, we also have additional awards. We are recognizing our student athletes who on Sunday, March 30th, participated in their annual bowling tournament at the Brunswick Zone in North Brunswick, New Jersey. Through sports and training and competition, these student athletes benefit physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. Families are strengthened, and the community at large, both through participation and observation, is united in understanding the athletic abilities of these wonderful students who represent the Hoboken Public Schools in a positive manner. On this Sunday, March 30th, we had a second place winner, Beyonce Nunez. And we also had two first place winners. Our first winner is Eliza Brown. And our last winner was Ricardo Frizzi. Thank you. That concludes recognitions.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all the award winners. I think we have the Hoboken Early Childhood Advisory Council presentation.
We do.
Okay.
It's going to take a couple of minutes to set up our little presentation here. I do have on this laptop some Minecraft later. We can do a little. And just have to turn that on, right? Now we should.
I wasn't sure what he was doing. He's testing the wind.
Let me ask you.
There it goes.
Thank you, sir.
He's shorthanded tonight. He's going to run back and forth.
Just as a point of information while people are setting up, we're going to be going into executive session, but we'll do it at the end of the public speaking, so everybody will have a chance to talk. Then we'll go to executive session. So rather than jam you guys up, we will do it at the end. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you for having us. My name is David Celeberti. I'm a clinical psychologist. I'm also the co-chair of the Hoboken Early Childhood Advisory Council with Nelise Miliano, who wasn't able to join us tonight. And we have half of our council here tonight as well. And we really are very grateful for this opportunity to speak with you a little bit about what we're doing. As you all know, the Early Childhood Program has three providers: the Hoboken Board of Education, Hope's Cap Inc., and Miles Square Early Learning Center. And the mission of HECAC is to assess the needs and resources of the Early Childhood Program, to develop priorities, to facilitate collaboration between the Early Childhood Program and the district as well as the community. And we have three standing committees to fulfill our mission: a Council Affairs Committee, the Needs Assessment Program Evaluation Committee, which Jennifer Evans was heavily involved in prior to her election to the board, and a Transition Committee as well. The Council Affairs Committee essentially oversees council operations, ensures that we have a full membership. We have both parent representatives, community representatives, as well as members of the district employees. And we're currently trying to recruit a parent of a child with special needs, perhaps some more fathers of kids in the district, as well as some parents from Connors. And we also oversee the bylaws, the webpage, which David Tornabenny will show you a screenshot of momentarily. And we try to promote awareness of HECAC and its accomplishments through community outreach. And we just launched a newsletter, and there is a copy of the newsletter on our webpage, and that's a screenshot of that as well. And I'm going to turn it over to David Tornabenny, who's going to speak about the other committees. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I'm David Tornabenny. I'm a second grade parent representative on the advisory council. And so we have three committees that make up our council, the second of which is the Needs Assessment Program Evaluation Committee, which we call the Survey Committee. We take a look at surveys and analyze them. There's 5 of them that we give out during the school year, mostly by paper, some electronically. We hope to increase the number of electronic participations in the survey in the future. And what we do is we collate that data, we analyze it, we see what the parents are saying. It's kind of our ear to the ground, so therefore it's your ear to the ground, to the parents. And then we make recommendations. We try to come up with action items based on what we get back from these surveys. It's not only little check-off things like A, B, C, D, it's also comments. So we'll go through the comments and even analyze them to see if there's some threads going through all the comments from the parents. What we want to do this year is add a 6th survey as well during the summer transition period. The next committee is the Transition Committee, which it kind of speaks for itself. It provides transition guidance and support for pre-K through grade 3 families by using existing resources or by identifying and creating new resources. One of those new resources of which I will mention a little bit later on. So here are some of our recent accomplishments. We didn't want to come before the Board of Education without patting ourselves a little bit on the back, I think, right? So we created and disseminated our first newsletter, which is available on the webpage, which I'll show you. We've been able to leverage provider advocates for increased parent and caregiver participation. The provider advocates are really important in trying to help to get the parents more involved in lending their voices, filling out the surveys, and that sort of thing. We've improved the surveys to help meet the needs of parents and students. Oftentimes we review our surveys and say, oh, well, maybe there's some additional questions we could ask to help clarify things for the parents. We've responded to parent input, including increased communication, materials related to transition, and additional meet and greet opportunities. It says pending there because that's one of the things that popped up in one of our recent surveys is parents saying, please give us more of a chance to meet and greet before the school year. We've attended PTO meetings to meet parents. I think that's been a really great thing for our council members to go around and meet the parents at the PTO. And then we've held meetings at various school locations throughout the district. In prior years, we've always had the meetings at Brant School, but now we've added other schools where we'll go and have our meeting there and get a chance to meet the principal and have our presence known, have a little bit of an awareness. So what are our next steps? We want to focus on improving communications and outreach. One of those is electronic communication. When you see these comments back from parents, very often it says, please, 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 electronic communication. So I'm glad that the Board of Education has a new committee dedicated to that. And then also awareness among all of our stakeholders. For example, this presentation today, bringing awareness that there is a Childhood Advisory Council and what we do. Number 2, to incorporate grades 1 through 3 into everything we do as part of our expanded mission. We've been concentrating a lot on pre-K through K, and now we want to kind of work our way up through 1 through 3 and put our ear to the ground to the parents there. I think we also have a goal of, pushing it up even further. That helps with the transition process because a 2nd or 3rd grade parent can say to a pre-K parent, hey, this was a really great thing for my kid, and you should be comfortable about having your kid in the program. Number 3, to obtain more parent community representation on the council. We would really love to have more parents join the council. Also community members, maybe from businesses and that sort of thing. That's one of our next steps as well. to review survey results and take needed actions, and to identify new collaboration opportunities with the school, as well as the community at large. We'd really like to collaborate more with the Board of Education, with the various schools, and even possibly with some local businesses. I know local businesses just love to be involved with the school. So if there's any way that we can grow ourselves in the community. I put in parentheses there that we have a current collaboration going on with the high school. One of our council members, Vera Serrata, is working closely with Doug McCauley at the high school film and video department. Right now, as we speak, they are putting together film and audio of parents who have been interviewed and talking about the relationships that their kids have had with their educators and the experience that they've had going through the early childhood program. It's really great, and it's going to be a link on our webpage, and we hope to come back again to another meeting to present that video to you. It's going to be about 3 minutes, and we're very excited about that. This is just a screenshot of the web page that's on the Board of Education website, and you can see that there's all kinds of resources and links and things, and one of which will be the new film that's going up. So I just want to say thank you for having us and for helping us to be here.
Actually, Ruthie, who is the paragon of good manners, can you introduce everybody on the council who's here, please?
Here? Can you
Oh,
introduce
everybody that's
others who
here.
are here?
Because the work is great. I mean, thank you.
Why don't you guys come up and just say hi? Yeah. Start with Jennifer. Okay.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Fay. I have a daughter at the St. Francis location, pre-K4, and I'm on the transition committee.
I'm Amanda Thede. I also have a daughter at St. Francis. She's pre-K3, and I'm on the Needs Assessment Committee. It's nice to meet you.
I'm Melissa Pasquarello. I'm on the Council Affairs Committee, and I am a community representative.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just had a quick,
Please.
just a quick question. Is the newsletter just on the website, or do you push it out as well? Do you?
We push it out, and as a matter of fact, we could push it out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to request, that you put the board emails on your list. That would be wonderful.
And one more issue coming out before the end of the school year.
Yeah, because I'm not real good about checking the website, so that would be great. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, that would,
Thanks.
Push everything to you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
sure.
no, it's great.
Asking us to stop pushing stuff.
Yeah, 'cause we had the board.
Yep. Anybody else from the board?
Yeah,
Peter?
please.
Okay.
Mr.
I'm gonna go
Tornabene, if you don't
look,
mind.
but I'd love to get the
Coming up to the
newsletter
mic.
sent.
I was just curious, your meeting schedules, is that on the district website as well?
I'm sorry, which schedules?
When the Early Childhood Advisory Committee actually meets?
Oh, when we meet?
Yes.
Do we? I don't think we have our schedule on there, no.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a good idea.
That was- yeah,
Put
just a
the
suggestion.
schedule Of the when and where when we meet. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'll make a note.
And in terms of coordinating with small businesses, I would love to sit down with anybody on the committee, and we could talk about it,
That'd
as
be
you know.
fantastic,
So,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate that.
No
Thank you.
problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay. The superintendent's report?
Okay. So good evening, everybody. We have a lot to report this evening. And so but before we get started, I would like to thank David and David for an excellent presentation, all the members of the HECAC. Now,
Thank you very
I knew
much.
they had a transition committee, and you have a transition report. I'll get to that a little bit later. But what I didn't realize was the extent of the work that they do in terms of transitioning students from grade level to grade level, from building to building. So really, it's actually amazing the amount of work that the group has put in to addressing the issue of transition. That's a source of strength, and I've noted that in my report. It's a source of strength in the district of having the HECAC, a group of volunteer parents who have spent an awful lot of time making the school system better for the children and for the parents. So I really appreciate their efforts, and it was great to have them here this evening. So, as I said, we have a lot to cover this evening. We have, in addition to my report, Dr. Hernandez is going to do a little professional development for the board members. And what he's going to do is going to talk to you a little bit about changes that exist right now with the school choice program. So, if you know, earlier this year we talked during the budget process that there was a reduction in funding for school choice, although there is still a significant amount of funding the district received this year, $2.8 million. So the rules have changed. And so there have been questions from board members about how the rules have changed. So I would like Dr. Hernandez to give his report and talk about a spreadsheet that he's put together. And also, this is a good thing for the community to understand. School choice is an important part of our school operations. And so Dr. Hernandez is going to talk about how the school choice program affects the school system.
Good evening. All right, Hoboken schools, I've looked into some of the history here with the school choice program. Hoboken schools have been in the program since 1999. One of the original 12 schools in the program, and currently there's 136 schools, or districts, 136 districts that are running the school choice program. School choice enables approved districts to enroll students who do not reside within their districts without cost to their parents. The program increases educational opportunities for students and their families by providing students with school options outside of their district of residence and giving parents the power to select a school program that best serves their child's individual needs. As a school choice, we designate the available seats in specific grades and programs that are open to choice students. I've been here 3 years. In the past 3 years, we did not have any restriction on the number of students that we can take, and we usually capped our numbers at 100 students across the grade levels except for kindergarten and 11th and 10th grade. And we took students in the grades in between. The benefits of the program, there are several. Okay, choice programs might have smaller classes, increased instructional time, and a school culture more conducive to a student's success in school. An enrollment to students outside the district can bring in more students interested in certain programs and courses, allowing both the programs and students to grow and flourish. Sometimes small districts and other advantages, sometimes small districts and schools experience population shifts that result in budget crunches. Opening enrollment beyond the district's boundaries can alleviate the effects of these shifts and bring greater stability to operations, since choice students bring additional funding to the district. The addition of students with different backgrounds and perspectives from those of the district's resident students also can enrich the the school community. I want to turn your attention to the spreadsheet that you have, the long sheet. On the left-hand side of the shaded line down the middle is the history, 5-year history of our school choice program. It does go back, I mentioned before, it does go back to 1999. Our records from back then were not as clear to us as they are within the past 5 years, and I thank Patty DeVries for an excellent job in maintaining pretty good records. But you can see there where in 2009, 2010, we had 41 students in the program. Currently, if you look at 2013, 2014, we have 144 students. So the program has grown. Right? The program has grown, and it has grown across the state, and that's why the State Department of Education is putting restrictions on us. This year, we are only allowed to take our number from October 15th, ASSA report that we submit on October 15th, and we have to use that number and add 5% growth to that number. And that number this year was 135. That's the number the state worked with. And they added 5% to that. And they also allowed us to increase our kindergarten numbers. It was always 0. This upcoming year, we will have 4 kindergarten students. And they also gave us allowance for siblings of current school choice students to enter the program. They get preference over other students that do not have siblings in the program. And saying all that, they had reduced our number this year to 20 students that can come in for September. And if you look on the second column there, the the numbers that we are anticipating, we did have enrollment, registration for these students. We actually accepted 26 students total. 6 have opted out after they registered. They changed their minds, which we know that we anticipate that because a lot of school choice students, they applied to several schools in the area, both public and private schools and parochial schools, and they wait for admission to one of them. So we had 6 of those students that opted out. So we do have 6 available seats to fill for September. If you look at the number on the right-hand side, on the bottom of the last column, 161, the 161, that will be our number that we will stick with, and we will make sure that our ASSA report in October indicates that we have 161 funded seats, because we anticipate they will then take that number and add 5% to that, and that will be our new cap number. So we anticipate possibly 20 students the following year, based on the formula that they're currently using. But that could also change. In talking to the state, they are still trying to figure out this whole thing and where they're getting all these funds from, because of the increase in school districts that are joining this program. Are there any questions?
I had a question.
Yes.
Dr. Hernandez. So for my own benefit, so the funding comes from the state, not
Yes.
from the
Yes.
sending district?
Right.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So the important thing for board members to understand, because these questions come up fairly often, one of the questions when we convert students, whenever we bring in new students mid-year, there's always a question, is every student that we bring in funded? And the answer is yes. You can look at our whole history. Students we bring in are funded because we have an approved number of seats that are funded seats. And so we bring in the number of students that we can to fill out those seats. Dr. Hernandez noted that 161, that's our target number. What that does is if we have 161 on October 15th, that will maximize our funding. So that is the number that we are looking to have for the upcoming year, because that will allow us then to maximize our funding the following year. So we're going to try to continue to receive the funding that we have. Under the new program, we've lost some of it, but we hope to at least stabilize what we have now. But we have to get to that 161 for that to happen. The other question that board members and members of the community ask on a fairly frequent basis is about the whole issue of conversion and how many students are from other communities, how many students are from Hoboken. You can see in this spreadsheet that about 1 out of 4, like 24% of the students that are in the school choice program are Hoboken residents who have relocated to other communities. So 1/4 of those students are students who originally attended here as resident students who have decided to move elsewhere. You're allowed to convert them to school choice status, and so that generally works out pretty well. But that's a pretty large percentage of the school choice students.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes.
Nice. I thought the state came out with this formula where they're going to cap the number of school choice students, 20 students per year, correct?
It depends on the district, and it depends on the size of the district, the size of the program.
The current number. Yeah.
And your current numbers.
So this 161 that's projected for 2014, 2015 could actually decline now because the state did cap it at 20%.
This is all considering whatever information we have about any changes from the state.
It could decline, but we're going to make sure that it doesn't, because we do have a wait list of 62 students that want to get into the program. So we will make sure that October 15th we will have all those funded seats filled.
We had a very good year with school choice. We had over 100 students apply.
This was the first year that we had to have a lottery to place our kids, because we had so many kids and only 20 seats.
Because my understanding that was one of our budgetary concerns was that we weren't going to get the amount of school choice students that we normally were going to get because the state did cap it. Correct? Yep. So therefore, this 161 cannot increase after next year. It can only decrease.
It can increase.
No,
it still can increase.
It will increase 5%.
I mean, what's the...
I'm asking the question. The question is...
I'm trying to Understand what the question
well,
is.
Mr. Dr. Hernandez was about to answer it. Go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
the number will increase, because they're probably going to add 5% to that number.
I see. So in future years, it can increase by 5%, or it depends what the state says?
That's what we anticipate.
So with
That's what we're hoping or anticipating.
Right, we're hoping, because the state is working out this whole formula thing because of the increase in schools that are interested in the program.
What the state can't afford to have happen anymore is what we were able to do with school choice. So you see where we went from 2010 to 2013, right?
Right, yeah.
We increased by over $2 million our funding with school choice. And that was probably one of the best things the board ever did, because quite honestly, without that revenue in the district right now and a solid base, see, if you didn't have that base right now, you didn't have that base of 140 students, none of this would be possible. In other words, you wouldn't be able to grow by 5%. You wouldn't be able to even be in the ballpark. You would not have that flexibility. So there was a time when you had a lot of flexibility, you could bring in a lot of students, or you could convert a lot of students, which we did. And so, like I said, that was probably, in my mind anyway, one of the best things that the board did, because that amount of revenue into the district is so important and will continue to be important for years to come.
And just for clarification purposes, when a student is in the choice program, the student continues in the choice program. The state can't say, oh, you're over your number and we're going to take the student out, correct?
No, we won't take the kid out. Once we accept the school choice student, he is ours for the duration of his school career.
Exactly.
Regardless of what grade level they start with us.
So,
and to summarize, because of the state's economic policies, we could have had more school choice children if we wanted to,
yes,
but we're being limited. And we do expect growth in the future, but that growth will be limited by whatever state mandate there is.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And we still don't know what the state mandate is until this time, correct?
Well, we do. It's basically, at this point, it's 5%.
Okay.
On October 15th, whatever we have on October 15th, plus 5%. At least that's what they say right now.
For next year.
Okay. Any questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That was hopefully helpful. Okay, so lots of big things happening in the district. Last meeting, we had a very nice start of the meeting. We introduced all of our teachers of the year. They were selected by a panel of colleagues, parents, administrators, and of course, Wallace School teacher Mark Martone was identified as our district teacher of the year. He gave a wonderful and passionate speech about his work. And since that time, he was elected, or selected, I shouldn't say elected, selected as the Hudson County Teacher of the Year. So that's even more impressive because, one, there's a lot of great teachers in Hudson County, and so he was basically in competition with all the other teachers of the year from all the local school districts and also the charter schools, and he was selected as our Hudson County Teacher of the Year. He's moved on to the state, and so he is under consideration as possibly being our State Teacher of the Year. And so that is quite an accomplishment. I did ask some of our veteran staff members about if they had any recollection of whether or not a Hoboken teacher was selected as Teacher of the Year, if they could remember a time when that happened, or any of our teachers were County Teacher of the Year. And the answer was assuming that their memory is okay, right? Their answer was no. They couldn't remember a time when a Hoboken teacher was selected as the County Teacher of the Year. So it's quite an award, quite an honor, and wish him well in the state level, okay? So the next part of my report, park readiness. So this year we undertook a project to assist us with preparing for the new state standardized testing program known as PARC, which stands for the Partnership for Assessment of Readiness for College and Careers. We agreed to be a pilot district so the students and staff, and most importantly our IT department, gained valuable experience with this new test. I mentioned the IT department due to the fact that the new testing system will be administered entirely on computers. So our school district caught a glimpse of the future in late March and early April. 40 high school students, they took the Algebra 2 part of the PARC. And we learned something very important. What we learned is that we no longer have to buy calculators for testing. And what we saw was that there was a calculator on the screen that the students could use for computations. So there's good news. The bad news is that the calculator that they had on the screen we don't have very many of them in the district, so we're going to have to buy them, so our students are very familiar with the calculator, and so they know how to use that calculator that's on the park screen. So that was a very good learning experience. So we pick up these things by going through this one time in advance. Another 43 8th grade students took the English and Language Arts section of the park. At Wallace School, 31 students completed the English and Language Arts section in 2 sites. So we learned from our test sites some interesting things. We learned that our wireless systems were actually fine. We had no problems. But our desktop systems had some errors. And so we had some problems with that, and we have hopefully resolved those problems, largely due to the fact that we have much older computers in our labs. We also learned a few things about the format. So we learned, for example, for some of the students, it was a very difficult thing for them to use multiple text sources to answer questions. So in addition to reading one passage, you had 4 or 5 passages, and from 4 or 5 different passages, you had to answer questions and make sense of what was in those passages. Not an easy thing to do. We learned a little bit more about how headphones are used for the park. And so, like I said, this is a very important experience for the district to go through, because now, when we go through this next year, we have a much better sense of what to be prepared for, and we will have a much better sense of how to prepare our students for this new test. So hopefully another form of transition that will go okay for us next year. Also on the agenda, I'd like to mention that there are 3 longtime staff members that have decided to retire from the district. And so I'd like to just recognize briefly, they'll come back in June for some recognition officially from the board, but longtime district employees Tom Fitzgibbons, Linda Fitzgibbons, and Joe DePinto are retiring. Tom was here just a few minutes ago. He'll have to catch it on television.
Yeah, they'll get to see their standing ovation on TV.
Okay, so news from the schools. First, at Connors School. The Connors and Clarabelle 6th grade basketball team captured the city championship, creating all sorts of excitement in both schools. So congratulations to Coach Colmer and the team for a great win. Okay. So the Connors School is also going to be on New Jersey Channel 12 in the coming weeks, and so that's a very exciting thing. The NJEA is producing a show, and so what's going to happen is the Connors School staff, students, the administration, they're going to be interviewed, and they're going to do a piece about Safer After Sandy. So it's about the recovery from Sandy and how the school went through the recovery process. So that'll be a very nice thing that'll be on television in the coming weeks. On Thursday, April 10th, it's on New Jersey Channel 12. News
Oh,
Channel
on 12.
Yep.
Okay,
mhm. Yep. 3 of the students from Connors will be representing the district in the annual Hoboken Rotary Spelling Bee. In an effort to increase parental involvement at Connors School, parenting coach Kamari Davis has been working with parents during monthly PTO meetings. On April 4th, just last week, Mr. Martone visited Connors Elementary School and held a candid talk with the 4th and 5th grade students on the topic of autism. Mr. Fitzgibbons and Dr. Hernandez were in attendance at the presentation, and the teachers and students alike walked away stating, "Wow, we learned so much today." Continuing our partnership with ShopRite, Ms. Jenna Stock, who is their dietitian, will be on site for a monthly kindergarten health class on Friday, April 11th. At Wallace School, I'm happy to report that Mr. Bally and the teaching staff have developed a new way to recognize the success of students and their parents by sponsoring an honor roll breakfast. So this is a nice opportunity to recognize the students who achieved honor roll status, while also recognizing the efforts of the parents in supporting their children to do well in school. At Clabro, I'm also happy to report that some more of their students will be participating in the Rotary Spelling Bee. The other exciting news is that the Hoboken Education Association sponsored a Black History Month essay contest, and Clabro did very well. The students at Clabro won, not only did they win first place, they also won second place and third place in the district competition. So obviously their writing is going okay this year, okay? Dr. Dana Ryan presented at the Coffee with the Principal event on April 3rd. She works at Fairleigh Dickinson University, so she's part of the partnership that exists with Clabro School. She gave an update on her research about Common Core implementation at the Clabro School, in particular with the classroom libraries and how the libraries have been modified to prepare students to meet the challenges of the Common Core. At Hoboken Junior Senior High School this past week, there was a very big week in high schools, not only in the area, but all around the country. and colleges released acceptance and rejection letters. So I provided the public with a copy of all of our college acceptances for the class of 2014, and I also provided that for the board. And you can also see the first 2 pages, the guidance department did some very nice artwork showing the different colleges where students were accepted, and you can see the full list on the back pages. So some very impressive colleges that accepted our students, and so we're very proud of that and very happy for our students for doing so well in the college admissions process. Also, just a quick thanks to the guidance department for their work in both supporting students and parents as they navigate through the complicated college selection and admissions process. It's not a very easy thing, and I'm just starting to enter that world myself. With my kids, they're in high school, but the guidance department, I think, has done an exemplary job of providing information, providing programs for parents, and helping students and parents understand all the different options and possibilities that are out there. So a wonderful job by the guidance department in helping our students with that very important process. On March 27th, the junior high school held an academic rally to recognize achievements in scholarship. So a student, Jazz Vigera, who you just met, was our master of ceremonies, and she kept the lively program running along, did a great job with a video backdrop from the media production course. The exciting thing about the program is that at least half of it was run completely by the students. And so this is students recognizing other students for doing a good job in school. So the first time the high school had a pinning ceremony. So that's a new tradition of awarding pins for students who received honors or high honors in the first half of the year. Also distributed were awards for the Harvard Model Congress, Poetry Out Loud, Journalism, Creative Writing, the Thespians, and Mr. Golo distributed certificates to students in his CTEC classes who achieved their network certification. So they actually earned a certificate that helps them go out on the job as network cabling specialists. So very exciting for the students and for the teachers. Also recognized were the students who were on the athletic director's list for the second marking period, and also the students who assisted in running the Hour of Code. Junior Prep Day was April 3rd, and so we thank all the members of the community, the professionals who sat on panels to help our students understand the world of work. The junior high dance, it was April 4th. It was a huge success. Over 100 students danced the night away and prepared themselves for the Hoboken Junior High Prom. So that's a new event this year. The Junior High Prom will be held at Pacini's on Tuesday, June 24th. Poetry Open Mic Night, April 29th at 7 o'clock. Students will be reciting poetry, both original work and published poets. College Planning Night will be held next Wednesday in the high school library with admissions reps from Montclair State, Penn State, NYIT, and FDU. The Junior Book Project, the books that the students write and have published, are hitting the presses next week, and so they'll be available for reading within the next few weeks. They'll be all published. And finally, at Branch School, it was a little sad today. One of the big events that they have scheduled for the year was the block party, but due to bad weather, it is rescheduled for tomorrow. Okay. So everything should be okay.
Oh, good.
So anyway, that concludes my report at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Business?
2 items. First, the preliminary budget is still under review with the Department of Education, both in Trenton as well as the Hudson County office. We have gone back and forth and made some minor changes, moving a couple things around, expanding on some areas that they wanted us to expand upon. The second item I'd like to report on tonight, gives me pleasure to announce that we have a new free after school snack program. It basically came about through efforts of Jennifer Lopez and Diane Boddy, who both identified an opportunity to apply for this through the Department of Agriculture. So what this does is provides a free snack to individuals that participate in some of our student activities after hours. Unfortunately, does not apply to certain clubs and athletics, but a lot of the aftercare programs will qualify. All they have to do is identify themselves, put them on a list. That list will be turned over to our food service management company, which will be part of an ongoing process where we report for the future. So it's a one-time deal, and as long as we are above the 50% free and reduced threshold, we'll be good for the future to continue the program for next year. So I just wanted to say that that's going to be available, and that'll start May 1st.
Okay. I want to thank you very much for that program. Thanks. Okay, we'll do the committee reports. Finance?
Thank you. A very brief report. The committee met last Wednesday morning, and as you can see, we have a very short finance agenda this week. And my notes to the board touched on the topics of interest. There's no extraordinary items here, so the committee reviewed everything and recommends them to the board. I would like to point out on item 10.08, it's the one with a whole bunch of little type. What's interesting, it's a little confusing to read, and there's a big number in there, but looking at the backup and understanding the contract a little bit more, it represents, and Mr. Moffett, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a sort of a system, district-wide upgrade in, they're not called photocopiers anymore, they are information centers, which will take the districts, I mean, I think it's replacing much needed old equipment and puts us in a really good place moving forward for the next several years.
Right. Yeah, it expands the capabilities of those units, I'll call them, but because they have turned into such an important role for us, not only to do things like scan in a readable format, but it also helps us management documents as they turn into electronic form. So yeah, it's definitely an upgrade. Obviously, it's an extension of an existing relationship. It's for 5 years, and it all fit in with under the budget amount that we had for it. So it will save us money in the long run.
So I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention, but it's here. We looked at it, and it seems like a decent contract. Thank you.
Okay, governance.
Okay. The Governance and Personnel Committee met also on Wednesday, April 2nd, from 10:30 to 1 o'clock. In attendance were myself, Mr. Gagliardi, Dr. Gold, Ms. McAllister, Ms. Sobolov, and Dr. Toback. We discussed several things, the enrollment projections for the next couple of years. We also reviewed and approved the 2014-2015 district calendar. It's in the agenda everyone's been provided with. Mr. Gagliardi updated the committee on pending legal matters. Dr. Toback discussed the results of the transition committee. The transition committee has completed their work and has issued their report, or will be issuing a report, rather. We also reviewed the agenda items, and the committee would also like to thank the 3 employees that are retiring after many years of service, Mr. Fitzgibbons, Mrs. Fitzgibbons, and Mr. DePinto. We thank them for their years of service and their service to the children of Hoboken.
Good. Thank you. Athletics?
The Athletic and Performing Arts Committee met also on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. In attendance was myself, Dr. Hernandez, Jean Marie Mitchell, and President Gold. Under athletics, we discussed the state football championship ceremony, which was held in the high school cafeteria that evening. It was a terrific ceremony with lots of speeches and lots of really proud students showing off their jackets. Congrats to them. The winter sports summary was shown to us. I believe it's going to be on the website, I think. Will it be up on the website? Mm-hmm. So that includes information and pictures about the winter teams, and also a list of those student athletes on the AD honor list. The spring sports schedule is up, and it's posted on Star Schedule, which is accessible through the district website, so come out to a game. It's always fun. Their athletic participation was discussed. There were 33 students in baseball, 29 in softball, 15 in track, and 8 in tennis. Under performing arts, the drama department attended the New Jersey Thespian competition in Keene University, and that competition draws over 600 students from 30 high schools around the state, and the Hoboken Junior Senior High School won 10 awards, which is really big. It's the most ever in a single competition for us, so I want to really congratulate them on that. And the top winners were Alex Yoon Hendricks, Allison Feinstein, Brittany Cologne, Jameson Yoon Hendricks, Daniele Cologne, and Gina Rotundi. So big congrats to them. Very nice. And some upcoming events I just wanted to mention. On April 11th, the Drama Club is hosting a family fun movie night fundraiser at Hoboken High at 5 o'clock. Everyone's welcome. It's $5. It's a sing-along. Should be a lot of fun. On May 4th, the students participating in the district show The Little Mermaid will make a performance at the Hoboken Art and Music Festival, which is really awesome. And just as a reminder that The Little Mermaid is the old district show, and that will be on May 16th, 17th, and 18th with 125 students from Brant, Calabro, Connors, Wallace, and the Hoboken Junior Senior High School. If anyone, a family, friend, or a business wants to make or advertise or have a booster in the program, they should contact Ms. Miller as soon as possible. The tentative schedule for next year was discussed, and I believe their thoughts are for the 7th through 12th graders is Grease, and the all-district show, which is K to 12, is Shrek the Musical. So that's adorable. And there's two things that weren't discussed at the meeting, but they're kind of athletic. You want to mention? Athletic. The bowling team did very well this year, and it was a nice thing that Ken Nilsson from Stevens Institute partnered with our athletic department and kind of gave them a nice day up at the Stevens Bowling Alley. If nobody's been there, it's really terrific, and their athletes were there as well as their coach, and so it was a really nice day for our kids, I think, so I wanted to thank them for that. And I also wanted to thank, if you see on your agenda, we have a lot of volunteers for the theater program and for the athletic program, so I wanted to thank them for their time.
Thank you. Facilities.
Okay, the Facilities Committee met on April 2nd, about 4:15 at Demarest. In attendance was myself as the chair, Leon Gold, Monica Stromwell, and Irene Sobolov, and Tim Callaghy, the facilities director, John Peprota, and Brian Beanie from Sodexo, our food service contract. The Sodexo and food service programs, John Peprota provided an update on the health fair, scheduled for May 2nd at the high school from 7 to 9 p.m., and more information will go out on the website and throughout the schools. Sodexo submitted 3 independent health and safety audit reports on their food service facilities at Wallace, Calabro, and Brant. The audit comprised, again, it's health and safety, so it's like management, commitment, and employee rights, communicating safety and health, hazard identification and control, claim investigation and reporting. And Wallace received a score of 98%, Calabro 100%, and Brant School 100%. So the school food services must score at least an 89%, so they did very well. There was a lively discussion on increasing revenue, and we requested Sodexo's marketing team to meet with us for the next meeting, and that's regarding the food service program. In facilities, Tim Callaghy submitted a facilities agenda, and it was much appreciated by the committee. A notable accomplishment was a network audit summary submitted by Jerry Crockmo, the IT manager of the district. It had 4 main components: the network equipment and design, cabling, power, and wireless considerations. The conclusion was that our network system is intact and in good shape, but the switches need upgrading. So that would be the most expensive part of the project, to run new wiring, but it was found to be unnecessary. Upgrading switches at each end would improve the network traffic and the speed of response time. The bandwidth and wireless access were specific target items of the UAE grant that the district received. Other topics discussed was the generator replacement project, the water heater replacement at Brant. The Calabro environmental monitoring was completed. At the Hoboken High School, repairs were made to the air conditioner and heating coils at the auditorium. The replacement of the fire alarm panels will be installed over the spring break at the high school. And the boiler at Demarest was recently repaired, but is scheduled for replacement this summer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 2 quick items. First, I want to thank everybody that went to the Wallace fundraiser. It was a lot of fun, so that was nice. Also, next month, May 6th, we'll be voting on the final budget. And people will make comments, but on the 6th, we will be voting on it. So if you do have some suggestions, or you do have some points that you want to make proactively, when it can be given more time to consider than just an hour or so, we have a website, or really an email. So the email is budget, B-U-D-G-E-T, questions, Q-U-E-S-T-I-O-N-S, that's one word, at Hoboken.K12.Wallace .nj.us. So it's budget questions. No dot?
No dot at the end.
No dot? Okay. Forget that dot. So it's budget questions at hoboken.k12.newjersey.us. So please, we're going to keep a record of them. They will be reviewed in committee, and at least your comments will be looked at and read.
Absolutely.
And it'll be, I want a name, but it'll be anonymous in terms of the discussion, so there'll not be, none of you will be embarrassed if you want to suggest something, but you don't want people to know that it was your suggestion. But please do it, because if you want your comments to be given the time, you have to give us time to look at that. Is there any anything else with that? Okay, please.
That's good. I just wanted to comment on both Dr. Toback and Irene brought it up. The rec this year for basketball, we had the pleasure of having our elementary schools have teams, which as a parent was great. And yeah, Connors was the 6th grade champion. Wallace 6th grade came, one of the Wallace 6th grade teams was second, and both Wallace 5th grade teams were number 1 and number 2. And it was great, and it really produced a lot of wonderful, wonderful school spirit. And I'm so glad, I guess it was coordinating with the PTO and the rec department?
I think so.
I'm not sure how it happened, but it was great. And I think it would be wonderful if we could have the same thing for our 7th and 8th graders. So I don't know if it's the PTO, I'm hoping, or how it's done, but I would love to see that same coordination for the 7th and 8th grade to have junior high school basketball teams, like junior Red Wings for 7th grade to play against the other school teams. Because I think it'll give them pride in their school, because I know the Wallace, Connors, Calabro, all those kids really, really enjoyed having school teams. And we know at Wallace you can have multiple teams from one school, and those are probably the best games, Wallace versus Wallace. So, quite a crowd. So that's all I wanted to say. It was great. It was a great success. And to those parents, the PTO parents that coordinated with the rec, it was great. And I know it's a little more trouble. It's more the principal than a PTO at the high school. But if we could do it for the junior high school, I think it would be great for next year.
Before we,
Mr. Chair?
whoa, what's happening? 1 second.
Sure.
Before we go to the public session, I'll ask people on the board, other people are here also. I'd like to ask anybody on the board if they have anything to say. Peter?
Regarding the committee reports, yes. Mr. Klepfeld and Mr. Moffett touched upon this lease agreement that we're having with these new copiers and faxes. On the agenda, it says that we did not go out for bid for this. Is this correct?
This is a state contract vendor, and we're authorized to go out if it's on a state contract. And we currently not only have an existing relationship with this firm, but we also extended the existing lease, which had 2 years remaining, so we went on an additional 5. But it all is on the state contract.
Oh, so there's 2 years remaining, and this is an additional 5, which means that there's 7.
This is going out for 5.
So there'll just be an additional 5.
Yeah,
and we couldn't get any years lower than 5 years? Only because it's $7,000 a month, it's $411,000 after 5 years, and we live in a digital age where my phone can do things that I don't even want it to do sometimes. And I'm just curious, do you think it's prudent that we sign this long of a contract for
Yes,
Xerox machines?
That did come up in negotiations with this vendor, and it actually is $300 less per month than what we currently pay and what we had budgeted. So we felt it was a win-win. So yes, I do recommend it to the board tonight.
And you don't think there's any digital, again, it's a digital age and enhanced digital options out there that would be cheaper?
Well, that's what we discussed. It was going to cost the district about $18,000 in additional expenses if we were to outfit the network with the same management ability that we could get the new machines at. So for document management, what they call OCR type software, which basically takes a scanned document and converts it into not only a document that you can manipulate as far as entering data, but you also can search it for research purposes. So for like board docs that you have tonight and every meeting that you have, it also is integrated into that system where a principal at one of the schools scans it into central office, and it's something that we can then research in the future. So we do think it is very forward-looking. It was all discussed with the vendor. We felt as options, rather than spend the $17,000, $18,000 now and needed hardware upgrades to our network, we felt by getting the machines with that capability already, just by upgrading the machines, we felt, again, it was the better way to go.
Okay, just my concern, who knows what Xerox machines are going to be in the next 2 years, so it's a 5-year commitment that we're giving them. It's just a huge
All right,
concern.
thank you. There's a hum?
Yes, there is a
Is there
hum.
way you can work on that? Perfect. Anybody else from the dais? Who do we have for the agenda, please?
We have one individual listed here. It's Patricia Waiters.
Good evening. Patricia Waiters. Hello, Patricia Waiters, 1233 Park Avenue. This folder I have in my hand tonight, it says follow up in green letters. And like I told you before, I'm here not just on my behalf and my children, but for the 2,643 people that voted for me in Hoboken. I come to this meeting just for clarification and to get facts so I won't be accused of spreading rumors. That's why I'm still in the preliminary stages of fact-finding what happened at the last meeting with the budget. But tonight, I want to stick to the agenda items. I just wanted to be placed on a record that when you have a negative mindset, there is no balance. So if the reason the room isn't crowded tonight is because people was like to their limits, but I am still getting constituents that's approaching me, wondering what's going on, the comments that's being made. And on page 13/14 on the agenda, this is really disturbing to see 3 different organizations apply to rent the facilities, and I see 2 being not charged, says no charge, and at the bottom of C, they're charging the OLA $945. Okay, and again, like I said before I started, I don't like to read into things, and one thing about me, I'm a straight shooter and I'm fair. I'm a watchdog. So whether you want to admit it or not, I don't care who you pick to serve on this board, I'm always in this audience for the past 7 years. So I don't try to make rumors or allegations, I try to get facts. So it's here clear as day. We all see in the press and on the computer what's going on with the charter school issues, and this is like a little mind-bothering. I mean, maybe you have your reasons, and you'll explain to me later, I know because I have 2 other agenda items, that why the Babe Ruth is being no charge, and the City of Sandy no charge, and the Ola Dole School $945 for field day. And what's disturbing about that field day is for the kids, okay? For the kids and for the students. Let's leave politics out of this dirty fight, because it only just begun. It's only going to get worse, and I'm asking you, begging you, okay, as a person that ran for the board, please, let's stick to professionalism. It's about the kids, and you can just address that later. Now with the school choice, on page 914, it says currently 10th grader, 7th grader, 4th grader, and 1st grader request to the superintendent to continue here with the school choice. My question to this is, even the students that do come to me, I did advocate for a few students that was kicked out of the school choice program. Do the state still pay for that student if they was removed for whatever reason it may be? I mean, if it's disciplinary and serious enough and you have a legitimate reason to remove them, do you still count that student in this 161 plus 5% or whatever? Is these students being counted in that? And the retirement of Mr. Fitz and his wife and the other social worker, I hope this won't affect our students and you hire someone with good qualifications that can accommodate our students, because they did do a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Any comments? Okay. We will, I'm going to make a motion for a consent agenda. Anybody want to talk about any item?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Just 2. The first one, 9.13, approval of children of non-resident staff member to attend public schools. And I was just curious, in terms of the funding for non-resident students who are children of employees, does that just come out of the local tax levy? We don't get any additional funding from the state with that, right? Because I know what the policy says is that if you're an employee of the district, your son or daughter can come to the school without paying tuition. So I was just curious about the funding for that.
The funding for each of those students the funding for each of those students, we place them in classrooms where there's space. So in other words, if you have 18 students in a classroom and you put a 19th student there, the additional cost isn't really anything that, it's not something that I think most people will be worried about, because, again, we only have about a dozen students in the district that are children of teachers, and like I said, in most cases, that's generally, it's a very good thing, because the teachers, who are also obviously professional educators, have confidence in the school system. They would like to bring their kids into the system. So we place them where there's room. There's no real additional cost to the community to allow for that practice. That issue also exists in other situations where, sometimes people bring that question up, but like you said, if we place them, if we don't cause another class to be formed, or we don't create a situation where there's additional expenses that come with it, then there's really no cost.
If I may, Mr. President, in terms of I also want to be clear that under state law, that student is considered an enrolled student in your
It's
school.
not a choice student.
We get state aid.
So you get state aid for that.
So we do get additional,
That's correct.
that's
So
what my question was, right, okay.
I thought it might be about
Right.
the finances of it. So that student's an enrolled student and get the same state aid for that student in the following year that you would for someone who was domiciled in Hoboken.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I had one more.
Yes.
10.07, the approval of contracts. I noticed that the scaffolding contract is on here again over at Brand School for another 2 months at $7,500 a month. It's been 2 years, I believe, that the scaffolding has been up, costing the district $180,000. And I was just wondering, do we have any inclination from the SDA about when they're going to actually come in?
It's quite upsetting, it's annoying, it's Christie, but from January up, they're going to give us the money back. So while we're paying the money now, the SDA has said they're going to reimburse us, I think, posted, is it January, I believe, or?
I do believe it's an amount. I'd have to check on the
It's
exact
around
date, but
January,
yeah,
So from January of this year, Mr. Chair?
I believe so.
So that means the rest of the months that it was up, the other year and a half, we're just
Actually,
going to have
you
to...
know the answer to that, and the answer is...
No, I don't. I'm asking
yes,
you a
you
question.
do. The
You do,
answer
I
is...
don't.
Are you going to let me finish?
Please.
We do have to eat it. That's the joys of dealing with the SDA. But finally, we have an agreement with them where they will pay forward from that date. And you only can trust their word. It's, what happens if they don't pay us? I mean, what are we going to do? But they promised us that they would.
And I know I've asked this question before. We can't just fix the building and get reimbursed, correct? The SDA actually has to come in and...
And I believe it's a multi-million-dollar job also.
Well, I just think that it's being up for 24 months now, and we're not going to get...
I'm sorry, I'm a little cranky, but what's your point?
Well, my point is that it's going to be up for a year and a half that we have to eat it, and
In every
I've asked the
meeting
question
we've talked
before,
about it,
but
we realized it, and
excuse
you
me,
wanna
you're not
talk
going to let
about
me
it.
finish now, correct? Thank you. I've asked these questions before. I thought we were going to get reimbursed since it's been up. We could have bought scaffolding for $180,000, I think, but I guess you're blaming the governor, so no further questions.
May I?
Yeah.
Right, this is...
I mean, we did talk about this in finance, and everybody, from the administration to the board, we are all frustrated. There's
yeah.
nothing we can do. Because we are a former Abbott district, and because of the SDA, we cannot touch that building. They have to touch it, and they won't.
And we can't push them any more than we already have?
And we've been told that their staffing has been reduced, that there's just a logjam at SDA, and it's not good news.
Yeah. Right. You can't control people that don't directly work for you.
Well...
And also, excuse me, I'm speaking.
Please, finish.
And if we decide to take down the scaffolding, they would close the school. So we are between a rock and a hard place.
And nobody's recommended to take down the scaffolding, but I was recommending that we nudge the SDA a little more, hopefully.
Well, I think you can attend a committee meeting,
Well,
and
I
that'd be great.
think I can ask questions here too as well, correct?
let's move on. You know that if you have a question like this, you should ask it prior to this
Have
meeting.
we asked the SDA?
We have many
Yes,
times.
so it doesn't matter.
Sure.
This has been an ongoing discussion every month.
Right.
Honestly, that is,
Every time it's on the agenda, $7,500.
Well, of course, it's really frustrating for everybody. But I don't assume that the district has not made requests to the SDA. Of course they have.
Tim discusses the issues that we have in the district with representatives from the SDA probably on a weekly basis. I mean, it's not from lack of effort I mean, I don't, if that's the implication that somehow, like, that our facilities director is not doing what he needs to do, or that we're not doing what we need to do, I mean, it's not that they're not aware of it, but they're also aware of, I'm sure, thousands of other projects and issues that exist in other school districts, and that's where it is right now.
Okay, thank you.
Are we not going to address the facilities question?
Please, sure.
Well, there was the question that Patty had from the audience, and I wasn't sure if we have a policy with different rates, and the ones that are free of charge are the rec department from the city. So those are free because they're sponsored by the city rec department.
Right.
Okay.
That's, I mean, there are two questions. One, the charges that are listed on the board agenda are a reflection of the board policy. That's it. There's no other,
Right.
there's nothing behind that.
No, not at all.
Two, school choice. Students who are part of the school choice program are allowed to participate in the school and are allowed, if there are disciplinary issues, they have every right, any other student who is involved in or is enrolled in the school, any of the rights that they have. Nobody's been kicked out of the school from the school choice program. If they decide to leave, they decide to leave. But the idea that students, like multiple students have been kicked out, is completely untrue. It doesn't reflect anything that has happened at the high school, period, or anything that's happened in the school choice program. So in that case, I would just have to remind the community, like I said, that any student who is in the school choice program has the same rights that any other student has. So the idea of just kicking them out is something the district doesn't even have as an option.
Thank you. Anybody want to make a motion about a consent agenda?
I'll move it.
Second.
Please.
Mr. Biancamano?
Abstain on 6.01, no on 6.02 and 10.08, yes on everything else.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Kleffel?
Yes.
Ms. McAllister?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Ms. Sobolov?
Is this the whole thing?
Yeah, the consent agenda, right?
Right, so I'm yes on everything, but abstaining on 903.
903. And Dr. Gold?
Yes. Okay.
You forgot.
And you forgot Monica.
I apologize. Ms.
Yes
Stromwell?
on everything, except I'm going to abstain on 10.05.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have the public portion. Who signed up?
We have two individuals signed up. The first individual is Patricia Waiters.
Patricia Waiters. Thank you, Dr. Toback, for that clarification. So then I don't even have to go into my yellow envelope here. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When people come to me, I get two sides to every story. But this individual, evidently, she had a choice, like you said, and they probably just quit because she was wrong, absolutely wrong for what she done. But they only give me a half a story, so that's why I call it follow-up, and I get the facts, okay?
Yep.
So then this is done. All right. This is a little disturbing, these last two issues that I really hate to address, but I have to, for not just my satisfaction, for other people, because it's like almost a smack in the face to see that when I stood up here 3 years ago and mentioned segregation, I was considered race baiting and all these other type of things that I was called, but I don't mind, because if I'm getting dealt a race card, like I told you before, I'm going to play the hand well. Now, just to read this article, it bothered me to show you that I stand at this microphone and say how politics play a big role in our city when very much well it shouldn't. I've learned so much in 2 months just going down to the state and being able now to sit in these classes and knowing that a government official is supposed to have integrity, which I do have. I've learned so much from a lot of keynote speakers. And again, like I said, if you don't have the right mindset, there will never be no balance. And it clearly states here where it says Zingle and Zimmer is almost like an admitting, like you're admitting the president that Zimmer did not go in your favor. It says Zimmer at first hesitant to take sides. And I tell you, this is what happened when you have a mayor getting into school board business, and not just Mayor Zimmer, every mayor prior to her. It causes chaos. And our kids, the parents, the workers, are the ones suffering the impact. Just to see this on the city website, the Board of Ed website, and right after they had the majority and took the right from the taxpayers to vote on the budget, it bothers me because we feel betrayed. And then to see you playing Russian roulette, this looked like to me, and it's like my way or the highway type of thing. And Zimmer, you disappointed us. You supported us, and then you pulled back. But in the meantime, who suffered the input but us? I just want to read a few of these little statements, to get it out, because the public is asking me and they want answers to these questions. School officials was reluctant to place a dollar amount on the increase or an average on the Hoboken taxpayers might receive, as the budget is preliminary. I told them to, don't worry, I'm still looking into it. This is too early, this is too premature. But additionally, Superintendent Mark Toback, this is only a quote, I don't know if you said it, so I'm not going to say quote, would not say whether it would be potential layoffs. My thing is, when I'm dropping my kids off at school, and I don't want to put no teacher, no business administrator, no one else in trouble, the school aide, the lunch aide, whoever, when they approach me and say, Patricia, am I getting laid off? The work environment since the last meeting has become very hostile. To come to work every morning and shaking your boots and wonder, do you have a job tomorrow? Are you going to be forced out? I think this could have been handled a little more professional, but I think he's doing as best he can because he said he is premature. But May 9th is slowly approaching. And I just hope, please, when you make your decision, leave the politics out. Because I'm not even working on a local level anymore. I deal strictly with the state. Not that I lost confidence in anybody, but what happened to me with that Board of Ed seat, no disrespect to you, ma'am, I don't even know you. Actions speak louder than words. I got full details. I got full knowledge of what goes on in this Board of Ed. And for me to be overlooked for political reasons, yes, that's what it is. The truth might don't come out tonight, but when things happen like this and true opinions come out, the opinions that came out of Mr. Gold's mouth, it shows you exactly what I'm talking about. I was overlooked after 2,643 people wanted me to represent them. I still do constituency service for them. I have a real keen idea what's going on, and now I'm in Trenton on the state level.
Please look at the chair.
On the state level, learning a lot. Sir, excuse me, okay, because you be very disrespectful and rude, all right? So don't ever disrespect me and you can get respect back, okay? Thank you. Like I said, I was talking to you, young lady.
No, you're going to talk to the chair. You're not going to intimidate a board member. That is my rule.
And again, you with your hit, listen, your little hidden agenda, I'm not impressed. You screamed at me before and told the cameraman to turn off the agenda. It's sad that I got to walk around with a tape recorder for quality assurance purposes.
You could say whatever you want, but address the chair.
Because that's my respect with my kids in this public school system. Okay, so no other board, if you go review, okay, and learn your history, you're the first board that always want us to address you. I'm addressed in a government body. It's 9 of you. It's not just addressed in you. I'm addressed in Corporation Council, the superintendent. It's not about you. You're a government body, sir. Okay, so get it right. So go look at Jimmy Farina and other people that serve as council presidents. You're the only one with your new agenda with this power and control. Stop it. And we can get work done here, okay? So don't disrespect me the way you do your colleagues. I'm not going to have it. Now let me wrap it up. To make a statement about white flight, and that's exactly what it is. After all the hard work with Brown versus the Board of Ed, please review that too before you bang your gavel. It's happening here, but no one is to blame because it went on years and years of systemic racism and segregation in the school system. Now it's coming out, okay? When one person is impacted, and to make a statement, okay, this is really bothering. The rich and wealthy people, okay, that's considered white, and the Hoboken Housing Authority students, it would not look nice, it would look ugly to have us there. You know what's sad? Most of your funding.
Nobody said that.
Most of your funding, listen to me.
Wait, no one said that.
Listen to, you said.
I never did.
If you go to Housing Authority, listen to, all right, so like I said, it's only this. I don't go by Google.
What quote? What are you referring to?
If you go to Housing Authority and accept the Housing Authority residents, it won't look nice.
I never
okay?
said that.
Well, that was in here as your
What
statement.
are you-
So listen,
what are you reading
Let's
from?
clarify this. Let's clarify this.
What are
You
you
can
reading
Google just like I Google, Mr. Gold. And this is your picture right here on the front of the page, okay? Shaking the young lady's hand. But listen, you do it on your time. But real quick to wrap it up. Most of your federal funding comes from free and reduced lunch students. Those kids for years have been treated very different. We all know that. So whether they was rejected from the charter, OLA, the Hoboken regular charter school, my kids experienced every charter school.
Anyway, you have a minute. You already went over a minute. Okay.
And we're African American. We was impacted, but it's not to blame on one particular person. But for you to make this statement of white flight, I want answers. I really think we deserve answers. The African American community, the Latinos, whoever is less fortunate, strapped with a financial burden. Because I'm not leaving it here. Yes, I will take this on the state level, because this is very disturbing. This is segregation at its best.
Thank you, Ms. Waiters. Who's the next person?
Christine Harmon Gladbach.
Hi, my name is Christine Harmon Gladbach, and I live at 94 Clinton Street. And today, I'm a mother of a 3rd grader and a 6th grader at Wallace School. Both of our children have attended Hoboken Public Schools since they were 3 years old. They have grown and learned and flourished in the public schools. We love being part of the Hoboken Public School community. Today, I'm asking that you review the current elementary school schedule, determine its successes and pitfalls, and make improvements. As background, this year, children from grades 1 through 5 were grouped according to their skill level. The kids were grouped homogenously for language arts and math so that teachers could teach the kids at precisely their current level. In order to provide the instruction time needed for this new grouping, the schedule was changed dramatically. First, traditional homeroom was eliminated. Instead, the kids went to their first period classes. Then, at the end of nearly every class period, the children had to be sorted and sent to their next class. This had several results. There was confusion in between classes as the children had to be sorted for their next class. There was anxiety in younger children who had a difficult time with the transitions. There were overloaded backpacks as there was no homeroom desk in which to store your schoolwork and personal items. There was some loss of instructional time as children had to be sorted to get to their appropriate classes. Coats and backpacks were carried through the halls until immediately before lunch at homeroom time. And there was confusion among parents, teachers, and staff. Now that we've gone through a year of this schedule, I, on behalf of concerned parents, am asking the school board to determine its successes and make improvements. In order to perform this assessment, the district should perform a time study to determine how much instructional time was lost in the shifting and moving, research whether there were significant jumps in learning compared to prior years, review whether children were moved from one class to another as their learning needs changed, determine whether homogeneous grouping resulted in educational success, especially in light of the decades of academic research showing that heterogeneous groups are more successful, seek input from teachers from all grades who had to implement the new system, and interview parents and children regarding their concerns. When considering improvements, please consider not sorting the youngest grades. If grouping is done, have the entire class move together instead of sorting each student. That's actually the way the 6th, 7th, and 8th grades work. If some specialized instruction is appropriate, consider pulling them out for advanced instruction, kind of like what former principal Charlie Tortorella used to do. They used to call it walk to read and walk to math. Have homeroom first thing in the morning so that way the kids can put down their stuff and they don't have to carry it with them throughout the rest of the day. And if the schedule does continue as it is now, can the children have lockers to put their stuff? You know, of course, these ideas and suggestions are from a parent, and I don't know the intricacies of school administration. I am sure the best solutions and approaches are those that can be developed by your school administrators. The elementary school principals are experts at elementary school schedules, and they will certainly have suggestions and alternatives that will ensure next year is not as confusing. So I look forward to hearing how this year's challenges will be addressed. Having entrusted my children to the Hoboken Public School for 9 years, I am confident that appropriate solutions will be developed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's up to you. Anybody else?
That is the end of the list, yes.
Okay.
So So since
I
we're,
can't read, does anybody want to be recognized? Yes, please.
so since we're going into closed session,
Right.
if we want to make a comment on public comment, is it out?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I actually believe that, I'm not sure what Ms. Waiters was reading from, but I actually think that she probably agrees more with Mr. Gold than she realizes. And that it's just reading things from different perspectives and getting different impressions. So I just want, and also, I also wanted to say that it's really wonderful to have someone come up and give and critique, but also talk about how happy they are overall, and it's always greatly appreciated to hear even because we do want people to come up and talk about their concerns, and I'm sure that it's been passed on to administration, and those are administrative types of things, and but it's also great to have it in a way that it makes it a critique so that we can improve. So I thank you.
Any other comments before we go into executive session? Nope. Okay, could you put us into executive session?
Just, could I have the topic?
We'll be talking about legal matters.
It's client-attorney privilege, negotiations,
Roughly about a half hour?
Half an hour.
or less. Be quick.
And we won't be taking any
Any
action.
votes after? No?
Will we?
No action.
I don't think so. No.
No.
No action.
No action.
For the sake of the public, can you just explain what's going to, we're going to go away?
Okay, thank you, Tom. What we do now is we go away. If you're in the audience, you have to wait. If you're watching it on TV, it's magic. We reappear. And then we'll come back and close the meeting. And since we won't be having any vote on it,
No, there'll be no action.
there'll be no action taken. Okay.
Okay.
Did I?
Although we're going into executive session, the meeting is in fact
Kind of over. Right.
Yeah, the meeting's kind of over.
Right, unless you want to see us say goodnight, the meeting's over. Okay, okay.
Motion?
Thank you.
The motion to go,
I can't make.
We're going to need a
motion to go
and
into closed
second,
session?
Oh, second?
Aye.
Okay.
I'd like to take roll. Could I? Yes, Dr. Gold, may I take roll, please?
Yes.
Mr. Biancamano?
Aye.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Yes. Ms. Cuffer?
Yes.
Ms. McAllister?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Ms. Rose Kern?
Yes.
Ms. Sobel?
Yes.
Ms. Stromwell?
Yes.
And Dr. Gold?
Yes.
Okay, rolling.
Okay, we're back.
Return from the executive session, then we'll close the meeting. Same time?
Motion to come back to open session.
I second.
Second.
Come back and close meeting.
Motion to close?
Second?
Take the roll. Mr. Biancamano?
Aye.
Ms. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Cluffeld?
Yes.
Ms. McAllister?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mrs. Rose Hearns?
Yes.
Ms. Sobolov?
Yes.
Ms. Stromwell?
Yes.
And Dr. Gold?
Yes.